All right. Well, welcome to our training tonight. This is Thursdays with Thread, and tonight we have prepare for casting your vote in a ranked choice voting system. And it's going to be presented by Shirley Pittz, and we're going to introduce her in a few moments, but I want to just go through a few housekeeping items before we get started. So we just want to remind you all to stay safe and healthy and take care of yourselves during this time of COVID, so wear your masks if you need to, get vaccinated, wash your hands regularly, and stay distanced when possible. Help keep your staff, coworkers, and parents educated to do the same. We do ask that you be present and visible on the video camera as much as possible throughout our training. It's one of our new training requirements, and we want to see your face and allow you a chance to ask questions. We do ask that you stay on mute when you're not speaking, although, of course, especially with only a few present tonight, if you want to take yourself off of mute and ask questions, you can do that, or you can also use the chat box to ask questions if you feel more comfortable doing that. A few more housekeeping items. I see that there's two names on your screen there, Ruby. I don't know if you're Ruby or if you're Lydia joining us today. If you can just let me know in the chat box if you are Ruby or Lydia. See, I keep saying Rudy. I'm mixing up the names there. That would be helpful for our attendance purposes. And you also saw that I did start a recording at the beginning of this training. So you should have gotten a prompt indicating that you understand this session is being recorded. Training hours can only be earned by attending the session live, even though we are going to share the link to the recording on Thread's website after this training tonight. Additionally, for attendance today, you will need to complete an evaluation at the end of the training, and I will share the code and all of that information when we get finished today. So I'm going to turn it over to Stephanie now to introduce our presenter.
Good evening and welcome. We're really excited to be together to talk about ranked choice voting. Earlier this summer, Alaskans went to the polls using this new system of ranked choice voting, and we're about to go back. In this system, voters rank candidates in order of preference. And so we're going to learn some strategy of how to go about doing that, learn a little bit more. So in November, we're going to go back and use ranked choice voting to elect the offices of governor, U.S. senator, a U.S. representative, and 59 out of 60 state Senate and House representatives. So this is a really important election. So tonight, Thread is really pleased to present Shirley Pittz to review the basics of the new system and ensure we're all prepared to vote in November. There'll also be time for Q&A. And as Micheline said, we're a small group, so people can we can have a conversation throughout if that's easier. So I'm really excited to introduce Shirley. She is retired and generously gives her time to so many, but she's also a private consultant focused on family and early childhood issues. For many years, she served as the Early Childhood Comprehensive Systems Program Officer for the state and led the Strengthening Families program for many years, about 10 years. She's well-educated, holds master's degree, and lots of education and experience, which we are all about in early childhood. Most importantly, though, she enjoys traveling, reading, and quilting and cooking, and time with her grandson. She is also a member of the Thread Board of Directors. We're so happy to have her serve with us. And she has shared with us before that she serves with Thread because of her commitment to improving the lives of young children. And she believes in the critical importance of Thread's work and appreciates the high quality of services we provide to the community. So why Shirley's here tonight, not only as a board member, but she serves as the president of the League of Women Voters in Anchorage and is a board member of the League of Women Voters of Alaska, where she hopes to contribute to their mission by making democracy work. So welcome, Shirley. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, and thank you for having me, Stephanie. I'm always excited and happy anytime I can mingle with an early childhood crowd, because that's where my heart lies, and it has, pretty much been there my entire career. So I was lucky to sit at a table at the AEYC conference over the weekend, and it was just wonderful to see the excitement and the buzz with all the early childhood people. It's like, oh yes, I remember this before I retired. I was at these things all the time. So really, thank you for having me tonight, because the other thing, in addition to early childhood, that I'm really passionate about is making democracy work, which is why I joined the board for the League of Women Voters of Anchorage. And I'm also on the league for the state. We have a statewide league, and we have 4 local leagues, Juneau, Fairbanks, Anchorage, and Kenai. And so it's kind of a commingling of 2 things I really care about, you know, that I know it's important who we elect and who's sort of steering the ship, whether it's at the state or the federal level, and how do we use that really to influence what happens for families and young children. So I think it's really important for all of us to take this responsibility of voting seriously, and it combines both my interests. So I'm glad that we have some folks tonight that are interested in learning more about ranked choice voting. And where is my PowerPoint? I'm gonna share this. I was going to share this. I don't know, why is this not coming up? Let me see. So what I may have to do here is pause long enough to email my PowerPoint to, who should I send this to, Stephanie? I'm not sure I have, Micheline, do I have your email address?
You should have my email address. It's msmith@threadalaska.org if you need it, and you can mail those to me. I'll pull them up.
I have to close my PowerPoint so I can open it. I'm sorry, this usually is not a problem.
It happens. Technology always throws us a curveball.
And remains a nonpartisan organization. So what we try to do is not support an individual candidate. It's very rare that we take a position on a ballot measure, although we have taken a position this year. As a nonprofit, we can just spend a little bit of our time and money on that. And so we save it for when there's really an important issue. We're a membership organization, so people join the league because they believe in supporting democracy in a way that really doesn't matter what party you belong to or what your beliefs are. And so anyone is eligible to join. We have a website if you're interested in that. And one of the things that we do in Anchorage that we're most proud of, we have an initiative called Youth Vote. And so we have a coordinator who works particularly with students in high schools to learn about democracy and how to vote. But really, one of the things they've done for years and years is they hold candidate forums when there's an election. So prior to COVID, that used to always be in person. So the candidates would come, they'd answer the youth questions, they would, you know, make their presentations, and then we would do mock elections in the school. And since COVID, what we've really done is we've started to do that more in a virtual way. So they're working on that again this year, getting taped presentations from the candidates answering specific questions. And I'll tell you what, we've had some amazing kids take on this role. They've now presented, our current Youth Vote members have presented in Ireland. They've been requested all over the United States. They've presented twice at the national conference for the League of Women Voters, and they've started this entire stir about how do you get young people excited about voting. So that's one of the things we're most proud of. The other thing you might have seen that the League of Women Voters does is we produce usually for the municipality the ballot review. So you may get in the mail a thing that says, here's all the things you're going to vote on and here's what they mean, and it's a way of informing yourself before you go to the ballot box. We're waiting to hear if we're going to do that for the April election. Hopefully we'll be chosen to do that again, because we have done that for I don't know, 20 some years, I think. So anyway, that's a little bit about the league. We have a website so you can get on and see more about us. And we just try and put a lot of voter information on there so people know how to access. We have a lot of links to other places. One of the things I wanted to remind you of, in case you haven't received this, in July, everybody was mailed a new voter identification card. And that was because we went through a redistricting process and some of the districts changed. So everyone in Alaska should have gotten a new card. And if you didn't, you might want to contact the Division of Elections to say, hey, I didn't get my card. The other thing I would add is if you have changed your address, you need to make sure that your registration is updated. And you can do that on the line or online as well as at the election office. So I'm going to pause just in case if there are any questions there about the league or voter registration. Okay, we're going to have people managing the chat for me. So either just break in, we're a small enough group to ask your questions, or you can put it in chat. So can we go to the next slide, Micheline? So I've had a lot of questions like, what is this ranked choice voting and how did this happen and what the heck? Why did they change things? So you may not remember, but in 2020, it was called Ballot Measure 2. And it passed. And what Ballot Measure 2 said was, Alaska will use an open primary, which means you're not having a Republican primary, a Democrat primary, you know, an independent or Libertarian Party candidate. It just means everybody who's throwing their hat in the ring shows up on this primary. And then for each position, the top 4 vote getters move on to the general election ballot. And that's what we're going to vote on in November. We've already had the primary. It also said, this ballot measure 2, is that we would use ranked choice voting, which was a change for us. And this is, again, just going to be used in state and federal races. It's not going to be used in the municipality. So if you're in Anchorage or Soledad or Juneau, it won't be ranked choice. But we voted on that. And so kind of whether we like it or not, it passed with 174,000 votes. So I believe we have to try this out for a while. And then at some point in time, if we don't like it, we can also vote it out. So let's talk just a little bit about open primary. If you want to hit the next slide. So what that meant, again, is that there's just a whole list of people for each position, whether it was governor, or state, or senator, or House of Representative, and you picked one person for each of those. And then the top 4 moved on to our general election. And as a side note, I think Alaska is kind of unique in this. Only 2/3 of Alaska voters are not affiliated with a party. So only 30% of our voters belong to Democrat, Independent. So it kind of makes sense that we'd have an open primary. And the reason that people did this really is they thought it would bring down some of the polarization and the extremes that we have by these other, you know, methods, by just having a party representative. They thought it might bring candidates more to the middle to appeal to more voters. So like it or not, this is what we have. So that's how we got the names from our open primary onto our general election ballot. Does that make sense? Okay, that happened in August. So I don't know if you had a chance to vote in the primary, but if you didn't, you get to vote on the results of that. So next slide, Micheline. Like Stephanie said, this is an important election for a lot of reasons. But if you look at who we're voting for here, this is voting for a new governor, a new U.S. senator, a new congressperson, And then 59 out of 60 of the people that we sent to Juneau are on the ballot this year, that's a lot of people. I mean, talk about, you can shake up the apple cart, or you can, whatever. This is going to be very interesting to see how this comes out. The other big item you're probably starting to hear about is the Constitutional Convention, because that is also on the ballot. And every 10 years that is put on the ballot. Like, do we want to open up the Alaska Constitution and make any changes we want? And there are, of course, two camps to that. We have one side that says, yes, open that up. It's pretty good, but let's fix it and make it better. You have the other side who's saying, if you open it up, everything is for grabs, and the state could look extremely different than it does right now. So I won't say too much about that, but that's really an important vote. So I hope you research that. And then the other thing are judges. So in some districts, there are a whole bunch of judges on your ballot. And in other districts, you may not have anything, or you may have one or two judges. So this is really an important election. So if you can get out and vote and take your friends and family, this would be a good time to do that. Okay, on to ranked choice voting. So we're going to go through this a couple of times, and on the surface, it's pretty easy. It's not very complicated, but in some cases, you start digging in and you go, okay, does this really make sense? How does this work? So we're going to go through it a couple of times. So first of all, it allows us to rank the candidates in the order of our preference. So for example, for governor, there will be 4 choices. And you can say, I really like this person. And this person, I could, they're okay. I could take them as second choice. Third one is like, well, maybe I could tolerate that person. And maybe your 4th choice is just, I don't know. I don't think I like that person at all. So there are 4 choices, plus there's a write-in candidate if this person is registered. So you can rank all 4 candidates, or you can say, there's just a couple of these people I can't live with. So you could rank 1, or you could rank 2. And when we look at the ballots, I'll show you how that might look. So you don't have to rank everyone, but you should rank them in the order that they are acceptable to you. And I really tell people, I don't think there's a way to game this system. You should vote your heart and just do what you think is right for you. And the way, well, it's the second choice, number 1. Let's say you have a first choice, and that first choice gets the lowest amount of votes. So he gets thrown out, or she gets thrown out. What they'll do then is they'll take your second choice. They'll make your second choice your first choice. So it kind of means you get to vote a couple of times. It's not like I vote once and it's over, unless I stop ranking people. But they'll go on to your second and third choice if they need to. But no one wins until someone gets at least 50% of the vote. So the thinking is like, well, maybe the majority of the people either really like this person or could tolerate this person. So ranked choice voting, it sounds complicated, but it's something we do every single day. It's like, what am I going to wear today? Well, I wanted to wear my red sweater. Oops, it's in the dirty clothes. So then I'm going to wear my blue shirt. Oh, my blue shirt needs to be ironed. I don't have time for that. So I move on to my green thing. So we do that with clothing. We do that if you go to a restaurant, you say, what would you like to eat? I'd like the chicken. Oh, we're out of chicken. Well, then I'd like the lasagna. We don't have enough lasagna left. And then you make your choices. And you just think about how many times a day you are really going through this process. We don't get what we want all the time, so we have to go to our second choice. So let's go to the next slide, Micheline, and I'll talk a little bit about how to use your ballot. So at the very top of the ballot, it's really instruction. It's like, how do you do this? Our sample ballots look just a little bit different than this, but it's mainly, that's where the instructions are. So I always encourage people, when you go in the voting booth, take your time. If you want to read the instructions, read them as many times as you need to. And if you make a mistake on your ballot, just take it out and they'll give you a new ballot. So that should kind of take some of the pressure off when you do this for the first time. So what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to make a first choice, a second choice, a third choice, and a fourth choice. Unless you just say, I just can't live with that third and fourth choice. You can rank as many people as you want, up to 4, or even 5, because there is a right in there. So here you'll see that this person decided that who they wanted for United States Senator was summer. They picked them as first choice. Fall was their second choice. Winter was their third choice, and spring was their fourth choice. Now, if they'd had a write-in candidate, they could have put that as a choice in there too. So again, it's like, I wanted summer, but I can't have summer because there weren't enough votes for that. So then they'll take my second choice as my first vote. So you never want to have more than one oval filled in each row and in each column. Okay, here's how you can spoil your ballot. I'm going to go to the next one, Micheline. So here's one thing that someone decided to do. They thought, oh, I love winter. So winter's my first, second, third, fourth, fifth choice. I want winter for my U.S. Senator. The only vote that is going to count on this ballot is the first choice. So all those other votes won't count, because if winter doesn't get enough vote to stay in there, all of your votes are gone. So I wouldn't advise doing that. One oval in each row. Do you want to go to the next one? So here's another thing that would spoil your ballot. I just like them all. They're all such great people. They do wonderful things for our state. I'm just going to give them all a first choice because I could live with any of them. Well, what happens when this comes into Election Central is they go, well, we don't know what this person's first choice was, so we don't know which vote to count, so we're not going to count any of them. So again, only one vote in each column. And then lastly, another way you can spoil your ballot is having too big a gap, because the idea is they want to know what you were thinking. So, okay, this person clearly wants winter as number 1. But, you know, we don't know what they would mean, what they want for number 2. If you only leave one column unmarked, they will make the assumption that whoever your third choice is really your second choice. But when you leave 2 columns like this empty, you're just done voting after your first choice. So those are some things to keep in mind. You don't have to rank everyone, but try not to leave gaps between like your first and second and your third choice if you can. Okay, so that's how you vote. It's like, I wanted chicken, then I wanted lasagna. If you don't have a lasagna, I want a barbecued rib. Then give me that salad. You ranked all those things. So now what happens when all these votes come in? So on the ballot, let's use candy as an example. And if we could meet in person, I would love to share some of this candy with you. But hence, we just have to dream of candy right now. So this is, again, there are 4 kinds of candy here. What's your favorite kind of candy? So somebody said, my first choice is Reese's Pieces. That's my favorite one. And my second choice is Hershey's. My third choice is Reese's. And my fourth choice is Kit Kat. Now, when I look at this, I go, those would be some candidates that are pretty close to each other. I could rank them all because I kind of like them all. But this is the order I would choose. Okay, so this is how the votes come in. Everybody does their vote and then they come in. Okay, next slide. Well, as it turned out, over 50% of the people liked Reese's. That was their number one choice. And once you get over 50%, you win. Done. We don't have to do any more with the election. So Reese's, you know, I could get behind that. I'm kind of happy with that. That would work. But what if Reese's, what if none of these get 50%? So none of these candidates have the majority of votes. So now we have to start eliminating people. So on this, on your top graph, it says Kit Kat only got 10% of the vote. It was lowest. So they're going to look at who was the second choice for all the Kit Kat voters, and they'll reassign their votes based on who was their second choice. So after they did that, you know, everybody bumped up a little bit. Reese's Pieces got a couple. Reese's got, you know, a few, and so did Hershey's. But we still don't have somebody at 50%. So now what? Now they take that third place person off, and now we only have two candidates, Reese's and Hershey's. And this puts Hershey's over the edge. So before it looked like Reese's was going to win, but now it's Hershey's because they're over 50%. So again, this is, you know, if everybody kind of likes chocolate, a little bit of peanut butter, everybody's kind of happy and we're good with the election. But Hershey's came out strong here. So they win the election because they got over 50%. So this is what they'll do with your candidates too. They just keep peeling it back until someone gets 50%. And when this voting thing gets really sort of too complicated, I just go back to, it's like ordering in a restaurant. Order your first, second, third choice. And if the fourth choice is liver and you don't like liver, then don't rank liver. Okay. So again, you can rank as many or as few as you like. This person ranked all four candidates, but you can rank one, or you can two or three. Just try not to leave two gaps in between there. Are there questions about that? Is that making sense? Okay. And let's go to the next slide. Don't hesitate to weigh in here. So we won't know who the winner is until all the votes are counted. And that includes, you know, who voted on early election, who was absentee ballot. So all of those things have to be in before we declare. And what they're supposed to do, I believe, is by round, you know, if they have to get rid of somebody and redistribute their votes, that will be released to us. So we'll see how that's going to go. We can kind of keep up with it, even as we're waiting for our final person. So, okay, I wanted to introduce a few websites for you so you can kind of see how to get information. So on the Alaska Division of Elections, I found it a little hard until I learned how to do it, but they have a list of frequently asked questions there. And by clicking on any of these, you can get some great information. So now if my screen will let me, okay, I'm gonna try this again. I don't understand why you won't let me do this. It gives me a whiteboard, an iPhone, iPad. It just doesn't pull my files up. So let me see if I can just get into the Division of Elections here. Let me try this again. It won't let me share my screen. Michelin, can you pull up the Division of Elections in Alaska? I see you. This must be Lydia who joined us, huh? Hi, Lydia. We're having some technical difficulties on my end. But there, if you can navigate these websites, you can sure find out a lot of information.
Can you see that website, or do you guys still see the PowerPoint?
I'm just getting speakers and participants. Oh, there we go. Okay, so
Oh, hold on. Okay, now can you see the
Yes.
website?
So I actually wanted to take you into a couple of these links. So if you're wondering, like, am I registered? I didn't get that voter ID card, or what's my district so I know where to vote? You can click on check my voter registration status.
Want me to put your information in
Yeah,
here?
you just put me in there, put your last name, your first name, and your city. And then I'm not a robot, and you submit that. And look what pops up. So here's my affiliations, but on the right side, it tells me where I vote. And at the very top of that right side, it gives me the district I'm in. So that's really good to know, because if you're like me, it's like, what district? What precinct? I just can't track that. So if you back up then, so I'm in District 15.
Sorry.
Yeah, if you can
Document back up, sorry.
if you can get back to the main page.
Oh, back to the page, okay. There we go.
Okay, back up one more. There you go.
Oh.
No,
All right, we're getting there.
there we go. Okay, so now I know I'm District 15. So if I want to find a sample ballot, come down this list here under how do I. Keep going down to sample ballot. So in the middle, it says general election sample ballots. You can view your ballot. So you click on that. And if you go over and put House District 15 in, which is where I was located, I can see what my ballot is really going to look like when I walk in there. So you see at the top, there's some instructions. We're all going to have the same names for U.S. Senator, for U.S. Representative, and for the governor, lieutenant governor. And then our district and our state representatives will be different depending on what district we're in, of course. So your names may look a little different. Now, the really important thing about this ballot too, you think you're done, you got to flip it over. So if you go to the back side of that ballot, you see the very first question there is on this constitutional convention. And so again, I can't tell you enough to really research that, because that's an important question. And then you see, I'm going to have to vote on a lot of judges. And the way our judges are selected now, they go through a review process by the Judicial Council in Alaska. And so they're kind of vetted by their peers about how well they do. And, you know, some of that is, are you apolitical? So it's one of the best systems in the country for selecting judges, actually. So some people won't have any judges and some people will have one. And you can see I have like a whole lot of judges, which you may be because you're in Anchorage also. So that's how you find your sample ballot. You can get that. You could fill it out before you go to the poll. And then when you go in there, you can just copy. You can just copy. Okay, I'd already made my decisions about this, that, and these people. So there was, I think I have another site I wanted to take you to. Well, let's, for ease, since I can't do this, do you want to pull up Alaska Public Media, Michelin? So on their website for public media, they have compare Alaska's statewide candidates. And this thing kind of scrolls, so you might have to wait for it to come back. It will go to, you know, watch this news show. But if you click on this, check out our new interactive tool, or just on that screen. What will come up is a candidate comparison tool. So this is specific to the governor's position, to the U.S. House and the U.S. Senate. And if you click on the house. So it will show you these are your 4 candidates right now that are going to show up on your ballot. Nick Begich, Chris Bai, Sarah Palin, and Mary Patola. And what they did is they ask everybody the same question. So you can get in, look at their answers and compare them and say, well, this candidate feels like I do about climate, or this person feels like I do about gun control or fisheries or oil development. So you get a little bit of a statement from them about why they're running, and then you can also compare their answers. So it's a really good resource. You know, the state website, you can also pull up all your candidates and there will be a statement. So a candidate just writes a paragraph. This is who I am. This is what I believe in. But this one requires people to answer policy questions, the same questions for every one of them. So it's really, I think, a pretty informative thing, and you can compare them. Okay, if we can jump back to the PowerPoint.
Maybe. See if I can find it.
I like that screen. That's pretty good.
Oh, my family. Yes. Okay.
Oh, if you go to the next slide. So again, wait, back up just a second here. So you can see, you can cancel your registration. You can find who's your legislator now, but those are on the frequently asked questions, or how do I? And almost everything you want to know is going to be on one of those. So you just click on the topic. Okay, so next slide. So here are the dates that we have right now that are pretty important. If you have not registered to vote, you have until October 9th to do that. And, you know, an easy place to do that, we have an election office on Gamble, which is just 1 block off the Seward Highway, just north of Northern Lights. So it's pretty centrally located. You can vote there early if you choose. You want to, you know, don't want to wait till election day. They'll start taking votes on October 24th. And October 29th is the last day to request an absentee ballot, which anyone can do, which is kind of like vote by mail then. If you don't think you'll be able to go in and vote on election day, you can vote absentee. And then November 8th is election day. So that's when all the action happens, I guess. So it's our last chance to weigh in. We are going to have an event on October 29th that's sponsored by several nonprofits in Anchorage. It's kind of being led by Alaska Black Caucus, and the League is one of the sponsors of that. So at Midway Mall, what we used to call the Sears Mall, from noon to 4, there's going to be all kinds of tables with information. There's going to be live music. There's going to be entertainment by youth groups. There'll be free food. And, you know, we're trying to make it sort of a fall festival theme. So kids come in costumes and parents will want to join us. And then about 3 o'clock, we are going to walk people who would like to vote early over to the election office, which is just, you know, a block away. So we have a flyer, which I will get to Thread, and, you know, you guys might want to share it with all your childcare homes and centers, because it should be a fun thing for families to do. And it's a great opportunity for parents to get a chance to either early vote or get some more voting information. And then what I've put here are some websites you might be interested in. You know, the League of Voters for Anchorage. In Juneau, it's connected with our state league. We have a website called Voting Rights Alaska. And again, it has a lot of information about, you know, where to do all this stuff and all kinds of links. And there's also a voter guide on there. So the candidates who responded to questions, we have that up there. And then I also have the website for the Alaska Division of Elections. And this was the Alaska Public Media site. And then I put this little logo up here. This is one that we did when we were celebrating women getting the right to vote. So last February, it was the 102nd birthday. And, women fought really hard to be able to vote. And it was not, I mean, it took us 100 years to be able to get the right to vote. So for us not to exercise the right seems like kind of a shame. But I love the logo, so I put that up here. So let me open this up to questions or comments, because I've been jabbering at you for quite a while here now. Ruby, Lydia, Huita, am I saying that right? Is that okay? All right, I hope so. My rusty Spanish is what I'm trying to use here.
Hey, will you try to pronounce my last name?
Oh, gee. Orozco? Orozco?
Oh, that's Ruby. Next year.
Oh, Colon. Is that right?
I am Colon. Yeah, you said it right.
Oh, good.
Very well.
I was just in Italy, and I start to get my Spanish and my Italian really confused, and I don't use either of them most of the time. So
Oh.
the older I get, the less I have up here,
Yeah, but I am very happy you pronounced it right. Because everywhere I go, they call me the other thing.
Which is an important thing, but it's
Yeah.
what it's called, right?
Yeah, people be looking at me like, it's a Spanish last name, Colon.
Oh gosh, so are you all registered to vote?
I guess I'm still thinking.
Well, you can always do that, you just have to do it by the 9th, which is what, is that Tuesday or Monday?
Right.
And
Yeah, we're running short. Yeah, but
I think it's Sunday. Sunday's the last day to register to
Oh.
vote.
okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah, if I'm trying to think, I'm not sure if elections is open on Saturday, but there are people with tables set up in various places, I think, that are going to have registrations. Wish I could have caught you at the conference this week because we were registering people there.
Okay, well, I'm supposed to be, my voting area is supposed to be at the Fairview Rec Center,
Mhm. Mhm.
but now they have some kind of indoor park for children.
I heard that.
So I'll have to check again
Yeah.
and see.
Well, you have to go check out the park, and then you can see if you can vote there too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 2 birds, 1 stone.
I know, right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
will work.
Yeah, well, we need people who care about children and families to get out there and express their opinion,
Right.
because that is how things change. And I know it's a lot of work sometimes to get out and vote, and sometimes we go, doesn't matter. But I am a firm believer that every single vote matters, because elections have been won by such a handful of votes before. It just doesn't take much. You just have to get over 50% to win. So,
Wow.
yeah.
All right. I'm gonna make myself go and vote.
Okay. That
I
would be
will.
all right. Because I pronounced your name right, you should go do that.
Yes, I will.
How about you, Ruby?
Hable por mí, yo he votado.
She has voted.
Good.
She will, yeah.
Good.
Yo
Take
sí.
your friends with you. It's
Yeah. We just got different schools to go to.
Oh,
Yeah, she's over here by Airport Heights.
Ujú.
okay.
Yeah.
Yep. It's like finding out. And if you go to the wrong polling place, they will give you a ballot and you can vote there. And it will just take them longer to count it because they just have to research and find out where you were really supposed to vote. But
Oh,
it will work. You can,
oh, okay, okay.
you might be in the wrong place and they should help you vote.
Oh, ok. Dice ella que si, aunque tú vayas a un sitio que no sea la localización tuya, ellos te dan la papeleta de votar
Y ahí lo
y,
mata.
ajá, no, lo puedes hacer. Lo único que se tarda un poquito más porque no es tu localización.
Oh, yeah.
Ujú.
Mhm.
Yeah, good deal. How about you, Juita? You gonna vote?
Yes, I am.
Yay! All
Vote.
right. Good. You three could make the difference in an election. You could just tip us over the edge. So you should go. Did all this make sense? How the ballots work and how ranked choice voting works? You know, if you get there, you just go, who do I like the best? Is there somebody else I could kind of live with? And if there's nobody else, don't rank them. Just put who you could live with.
Well, if there aren't other questions, certainly want to thank everyone for being here, especially you, Shirley. Thank you for educating us all and informing us about ranked choice voting and stressing the importance of voting in this particular election. So it's really educational and helpful. Certainly we can stick around if people have questions or other follow-up, but I'll turn it back to Micheline to close us out.
So I just have a quick housekeeping moment. I did put a link to the evaluation. So in order for you to get a certificate for tonight's training, you need to complete the evaluation by clicking on the link. And then the first question on the evaluation is going to ask you for a class code, which is also in the chat box here. And you can go ahead and actually just copy and paste it into the link if that's easier. It's super important for us to have your feedback. So please take some time to share your feedback on this training and how it was helpful to you. And I will stay on as well in case you have any problems with the evaluation.